Talibangelical chucklehead Jim Caviezel, who never met a conspiracy theory he didn't like, recently participated in well, I can't really call it an interview, it's more like a propaganda dump, with Michael Flynn, the guy trying to overthrow the US government and turn it into a dystopian hellscape for Jesus. The hilarity ensued, paranoid delusions, narcissism, psychosis, and the screams. Oh, the screams. Let's take a look.
I just saw this from Wall Street Silver, and it's got 4.7 million views. So let's just start there. It says, his days are numbered, referencing me. They will make it look like an accident. He is likely correct. The CIA does this, and it is used for blackmailing their assets in high places to keep them in line.
Okay, not even a minute in, and I object, Your Honor. Let's set aside the accusation Caviezel made against the CIA for a minute. His days are numbered. They'll make it look like an accident. The CIA makes their assets kill people, and then they use their guilt to keep them compliant? That's a nice conspiracy theory, but there's something missing. Where's step one? I mean, if you haven't killed anyone yet, what leverage does the CIA have to force you to kill someone? Step one is an important omission.
Hollywood actor Jim Caviezel says CIA operates world's biggest pedophile ring. Well, let me explain something to all of you in the world that think that I'm a little girl and I'm afraid of you.
You ass clown. You absolute regressive jackwagon. Girls are the strongest, fiercest little warriors I know. Maybe in your underdeveloped delusional mind you think them weak, but that's your misogynistic ideology speaking. You big jerk.
I'm not scared in the least bit. God brought me into Hollywood to become an actor. He asked me to do that. He was my intel officer, the greatest God, the only God. And he loved me enough to give me a purpose in my life because I was the lowest of the low at that time.
That's right, you heard it there from the ass's mouth. God told him to be an actor. He just forgot to tell him to be a good one. Caviezel was offered a scholarship to study acting at New York's Juilliard School in '93, but he turned it down to portray Warren Earp in the 1994 film Wyatt Earp. And he was originally cast to play Scott Sumner's, who was Cyclops, in the X-Men, but he dropped out because of a scheduling conflict with the film Frequency. Do you remember that one? Yeah, I don't either. God can do better than this. He has not been a good agent for Jim. And all the movie roles old Jim has had over his long career, what's the role he's best known for? Being an unhinged, cold-hard zealot right out of biblical times. Zealots were violent extremists, militant outlaws, and political revolutionaries with an insatiable passion for their own brand of liberty, which they alone were entitled to. Also, when Jim portrayed Jesus in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, he was struck by lightning. He was bashed in the head with a 150-pound wooden cross. He got a dislocated shoulder and he got pneumonia. If I was him, I'd be more worried about God trying to take me out than the CIA. I'm just saying.
And I would gladly trade my life to save these little ones, because the screaming that I heard was so horrific. I can't sleep at night. At 3 in the morning, for whatever reason, I can hear it.
Screaming? What screaming? Did you report this screaming to the police? Do you have evidence? If you had evidence, you'd show us the evidence. You haven't shown us any evidence. It sounds like you're just making shit up again. What have you actually done to save children, Jim? You've acted in one fictional movie that directs attention away from the real children who are in danger. You've done a conspiracy-laced press junket. That doesn't exactly make you, a great American hero there, my dude. You don't belong to any organizations that work to save real children from sex trafficking and sex abuse. In fact, you have not uttered one damn word, not a word, about the 11,000 instances of child sex abuse in your church. That's just in the United States alone. All in your church. All of those sexually abused children. You've not uttered a peep. What the hell, Jim? And look at you pretending like you're some great champion of children, verbally masturbating all over yourself there for publicity. You're actually quite vile. Ew.
So, like David, I love my God. I love him so much, I'll give my life for him. Do you understand that? My life is okay, especially if it saves these little ones. So I want you to understand that when you try to do what you did to me on the Passion of the Christ, change the world narrative, you never scared me, and you don't scare me now.
Now we're finally getting somewhere. Caviezel begins to show us who he really is. Of all the morally lacking biblical characters he could seek to emulate, Caviezel chooses David, the murderer, rapist, and adulterer who abused his power. Religious fanatics like Jim, who are devoid of morals, look for biblical justifications that support this lack of a personal moral compass. They're patriarchal, misogynistic, and unfeeling, and don't go to any length to protect the system that keeps them in power, even if everyone else under it suffers. Their choices are telling you a story, that they're perfectly okay with the abuse of women, the misuse of power, the abuse of children. They're okay with religious doctrine that subjugates and oppresses people they consider weaker than them, because it provides comfort for them. And that's why Jim Caviezel has never said anything in the defense of the 11,000 children in the United States alone who have been abused by Catholic priests. He doesn't care about children. He cares about keeping the system intact, no matter how harmful it is. And who's he talking to here? When you try to do to me what you did on the Passion, like what, Jim? You think that role was so groundbreaking and earth-shattering that it changed the world? I don't think so, Skippy. And again, you've never lifted a hand to save any children. Not one. You go around spreading a false narrative that makes it more difficult for the people who are giving all of their time and energy to save children to do so. You make it easier for traffickers and people who sexually abuse children because you've shifted attention away from them into some jungle in Colombia. Also, it's pretty interesting that the people involved in this movie seem to have a lot of connections to grooming children and sexually abusing them. It's all coming out now, Jimbo. The truth will out, even if it has to rise through the quagmire of misinformation you've tried to create to keep it hidden, because it benefits your beloved status quo. The truth will out.
And it's also, I just want to say, I love General Flynn.
Yeah.
And how he gave his life. And guys like that inspire me. Warriors that I work with, SEAL teams that I work with.
That guy you're so lovingly drooling all over there was fired from his position of Defense Intelligence Chief for insubordination. Flynn pleaded guilty twice to the felony count of willfully and knowingly making materially false statements to the FBI about conversations he had with the Russian ambassador to the U.S., Sergei Kislyak. This is the guy who was involved in an alleged plot to kidnap a Turkish dissident cleric living in the United States for protection and fly him to an island prison in Turkey in return for $15 million. Oh, and he's probably running a Russian psyops against the people of the United States. And some of them are falling for it. He didn't give his life, you donkey. He's sitting right there, Jim, trying to end our American way of life and replace it with a dystopian Christian nationalist system of oppression and subjugation that all the people currently supporting him will not do very well under.
Not the media. Yes, there's good media. like Lara Logan, people that are giving their lives. They actually go down there, not your stupid fact checkers. And by the way, do you have to go to fact checking school? Where is that, like a doctorate degree, a master's degree?
Ooh, look at him. He's so angry, so bothered, so triggered. Listen to the derision in his voice. He sure doesn't like the fact checkers, does he? He thinks he's entitled to spew his crazy conspiracy theories without question, and anyone who proves him wrong, well, they're the problem. Duh. Let me help you out here, Jimbo. Most fact checkers have journalism or communications degrees, but you surely don't need one. I mean, I do it all the time. It's called research and an open mind. Don't blame the fact checkers because you're a numpty who falls for every conspiracy theory that stokes your prejudice and hatred. I mean, it's not their fault that you're projecting your own twisted, paranoid worldview outward, trying to convince others to follow you into insanity. Your beliefs are distorted by one simple fact, my dude. Your conclusions are predetermined, and nothing that contradicts them is considered, because then you might be wrong. And your overinflated ego sure couldn't take that. But here's the thing you could do. Proof. Offer proof, verifiable proof for anything. Literally anything you say is true. Show us. And Lara Logan didn't give her life, you quack. She's alive and still a right-wing radical, and so are you, Mr. I'm a legend in my own mind.
I'm asking Christians, public forget about Christians, wake up. Stop fearing the devil more than you fear God. Stop being afraid. Unlike you, I know I'm going to die someday. I'm not going to die by my own hand. I'm not going to commit suicide. It may happen from an accident, and this has happened before, after the Passion of the Christ. That's right, 2009. Look up that date on Our Lady of Feast of Mount Carmel, what you tried to do. I'm not afraid of you. I got the Blessed Mother. She's with me. Our Lady of Guadalupe, she's with me. But our Lord Jesus Christ, who I love with all my heart, I do not fear you at all. You should fear God.
No, Jim, you should fear God. He keeps trying to take you out. I mean, you can blame some shadowy group of people trying to get you because you're, what, too phenomenal of an actor? I guess that's easier than realizing that some divine intervention might be trying to pull you out of the rabbit hole that's destroying you. But you're losing your mind willingly. And that would be fine if you weren't encouraging other sane people to ride the train to Crazy Town with you. You're a Christian nationalist, and Christian nationalism is the biggest threat to the life and teachings of Jesus that has ever existed. Trump is your idol. You worship him. You don't emulate Jesus or spread his message of love, charity, and peace. You, my dude, are a disgrace.